All right, how is everybody doing? Yay, did you get coffee? Water, too? Water, pop? I know I made this joke in the last talk, but I noticed that all the coolers say soda, and I don't know what that word means, because we are in the Midwest, and they should say pop. I don't know what Jeff was thinking by naming them soda, but here we are. Damn soda. Soda drinkers. Soda drinkers. All right, let's rock and roll. Huge shout out to Stir Trek for bringing me back. This is my third time speaking at Stir Trek. Is anybody here for Stir Trek for the first time ever? Really? More in this session than yesterday. The one I just did at 8:30. How many are Stir Trek veterans? More than 2 years? 3 years? 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We're here. So yeah, huge shout out to everybody that makes this event happen. It's a great event. It's really hard to get into as a speaker, but it is one of the best events in the Midwest. The best event actually in the Midwest is KCDC. So if you have ever been to KCDC, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not been to KCDC, make sure you go to KCDC in September. I will be there giving a talk, Kansas City Developer Conference, the best in the Midwest. CodeMash is also up there too. I'm a CodeMash veteran. How many have been to CodeMash? I would hope most of you. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, if you see anybody in a volunteer shirt, like my proctor here, thank you very much for being here and taking your time out on a Friday. If you see any of the organizers, people running the event, tell them thank you. Give them a handshake or a hug, whatever they prefer. It's great to see this event still happening. And the reason I say that is because post-COVID, a lot of conferences, including meetups, I've ran a handful of meetups. I run one in Detroit. It's hard to get people to come out, and meetups kind of just die. They die, conferences die, and they don't come back, or they take a very, very long hiatus until things come back up, and then you got to start the process all over again. So Stir Trek has been going, and that's amazing. So huge shout out to everybody that makes it happen. Also, if you get a chance, I know there's not a lot of sponsor booths out there, but if you can thank your sponsors, that would mean the world to me. If you can in passing, whether that's on Twitter or Blue Sky or LinkedIn or even here, tell them thank you. If it wasn't for sponsors, we wouldn't have events, because events cost money. And that is a big deal nowadays is money. And a lot of companies don't have budgets. And the ones that do are keeping the developer community alive. So I really appreciate that. Also, the official hashtag for the event is StirTrek. So if you are on Twitter, if you are on Blue Sky, anybody still on Mastodon? No? Good. That's good. Hopefully all of you are still on Twitter. It will always be Twitter. It will never be X. Hopefully you're tweeting, taking pictures, or on LinkedIn, or whatever the case may be, and you're talking about the event, hashtag StirTrek. And also, if you could throw this on there for me, hashtag developer community. I do a lot of meta stuff before I get into the talk, just because it has to be done, and a lot of speakers don't do these things to kind of bring themselves to you as a speaker. If you could throw hashtag developer community on anything that you're putting out there on socials, that would be amazing too. And specifically, I like to check it because I like to see where people are all over the world, what events they're at, what they're working on in their free time, cool stuff that they're writing code on, stuff that they're learning, and even organizers like to see the hashtag as well, so they can see what's going on with other conferences and what people are liking at their own conference if they use the official hashtag of the event. So I would really, really appreciate it if you could throw hashtag developer community on anything that you are putting on socials. There are show notes available for this talk. So if you want to scan this QR code, it'll be back up at the end of the talk as well. If you want the slides are available right now. The resources are available. Bless you. And I'm recording the talk, so once I get back to Michigan, edit it and get it up there. If you wanted to rewatch the talk again, you have the opportunity to do that. And there's also an opportunity to win a prize for our show notes as well. So if you want to scan the QR code, that's cool. If not, I'll have it at the end, and you can scan it then. My name is Chris. I am from the Metro Detroit area, born and raised. You can catch me on Twitter at Sultan Burnham. You can catch me on Blue Sky, ChrisDeMars.net. Any Supernatural fans in the audience? Raise your hand. This is a safe space. You can say you're a Supernatural fan. You're a bunch of nerds and you don't watch Supernatural? Come on. Do what? There you go. See, you know. All right, any Buffy fans? Come on, you nerds. Buffy, come on. This is a safe. There we go. All right, Charmed. Any Charmed fans? Old Charmed or new Charmed? It's always old. It's always going to be old Charmed. All right, this gets a lot of people. It didn't get a lot of people in the last talk. Stranger Things. Where are my Stranger Things nerds? There we go. That's what I like to see. Awesome. I wish they would continue going on with Stranger Things, but I don't think it's going to happen. I am a senior developer advocate at a company called Tux Care. No, we do not dry clean tuxedos. But throw it out there right now. A lot of people ask, what do you work on, like suits and tuxedos and laundromat? No, that's not what we do. Is anybody familiar with Tux Care? Cool, awesome, sweet. You like Tux Care? You like it? We could talk. My man, love it. So yeah, see, we got people that have seen these talks, so that's awesome. So Tux Care, we do a couple different things. I focus on the front-end ecosystem of our end-of-life support software. And what that is let's say you're running older versions of Angular, AngularJS, or even in the back-end world, we do Java, Spring, Python, PHP, .NET. If you're running older versions of that software that are no longer supported, as far as security vulnerabilities go by the vendor and or the community, we patch those security vulnerabilities and those dependencies, and you pull them in and we keep you patched. And we patch transitive dependencies out of the box. So I'm going to talk about all of that, what transitive dependencies are, what direct dependencies are in this talk. We also have another product called Kernel Care, which is live rebootless patching for Linux distributions. We support 70 plus Linux distros in their versions. So if you need to have patching done, you don't want to take your system down, we can patch it for you and you don't have to take it down. There's no downtime for you. I also believe in various cryptids, ghosts, and UFOs. So if you want to know about any of that and have conversations, let's link up on the internet. I won't be able to stay after this talk. I have to head right back to Michigan after this. But if you don't care about anything else I'm talking about in this talk, and you want to talk about Betty and Barney Hill, or ghost stories, or Mothman, we can have those conversations. Thank you for coming to the talk. There's a handful of other talks going on right now, but you decided to come kick it with me for 45 minutes, and I really appreciate that. The title of the talk is Know Your JS, SBOMs for Front-End Devs. Or, technically, the title, the alternative, is called The Men in Black Know What's in Your JavaScript and How to Fix It. So, haha, you came for a UFO talk. We're not talking about technical stuff. You still going to stick around? Yeah? Okay. We're going to talk about technical stuff. But there is a trigger warning. This talk does involve aliens, UFOs, and UAPs. So if you don't believe in any of that, or you're offended by any of that, there is an exit right over here. You will not hurt my feelings. You're just not going to listen to something cool. So I'll turn my back, and you can leave. And I can see you if you do leave. Funny. No, I love it. Just want to put that out there. All right, so I have a question for everybody in the room. What does this have to do with this? I'm going to go back. This is the gimbal footage, if you're familiar with UFOs and UAPs. What does this have to do with this? And I'll take any answer. I love hearing my audience's answers. Pattern, okay, yeah.
It's completely explainable if you have the time to go through it and figure it out.
Or unexplainable. Explainable. This isn't my code either, by the way. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. These two things are kind of related to supply chain. It's only a small piece of the puzzle. Is anybody currently working in software supply chain? Security? Okay, cool. Is anybody building open source software? Okay, if you're building open source software, chances are you are working in supply chain. Because somewhere down the line, that software that you're building is being used by something else, and that is supply chain. It's the people, it's the processes, it's the packages, it's the licenses. When all of that comes together, that is what shipping secure software is all about. You can sort of think of it like this. Everybody familiar with this amazing UFO movie? Independence Day. It's one of my favorites. Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum. I love it. I watch it all the time. So you can sort of think of it like this, especially this scene right here. In this scene, do we all know what happened in this scene? Maybe you'd probably have to watch Independence Day again. In this scene, they inject the mothership with a virus. That virus trickles down to all the child ships, and then everything crashes. You can sort of think of that like supply chain. One piece of software is affected, unbeknownst to the person installing it, and that trickles down every time that software is included in another piece of software. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. It's unexplainable. At least it can be unexplainable. But I can assure you that the truth is out there. Where are my X-Files fans? All right, love it. So if I were to ask you, how many dependencies does the average JavaScript app have? How many dependencies does your app have, or the project you're working on? What would you say? I'll take any answers, because they're fun to hear what people have to say. 250? What else? 100. What else? 125. What else? 5,000? What else?
Are we talking about dependencies or dependencies within the dependencies?
I'm talking about all your dependencies. Oh, yeah, oh, that's the trick right there, bud. 1.2 million, 1.21 gigawatts. What if I told you there was a way you could check? There is a way you can check. Is anybody running and playing and working inside the terminal? Raise your hand. Cool. Anybody using Warp? I love Warp. Good, I love that. Anybody using Ghosty? I don't know a lot of people that use Ghosty, to be totally honest. iTerm or iTerm 2? Really? Are most people in here Windows users? Windows subsystem for Linux? Okay. No, it's all good. It doesn't matter what terminal it is. As long as you can run Linux commands and you're working on a front-end project, you can do this. So if you run npm ls within your terminal, you'll be able to check your dependencies. So this is the integrated terminal inside VS Code for a project I was working on, a demo project. Cool. npm ls, bam. We got some dependencies there. Maybe 30-ish, I don't know. I can't count, especially from this angle. Awesome. But if I were to ask you, why not list all of them? Why wouldn't you want to list all of your dependencies? And there's not a right, any answer is cool. Even if it's made up, it's probably still cool. Might be a bunch, right? Thousands of packages, maybe 1 million packages. Maybe you don't want to overload the terminal buffer. Maybe you just don't have time to do it. Yeah?
So when I use Claude in Copilot, it spams the Windows terminal. So I'll get like 20 and then it starts sleeping. So do you use Ghost on Windows or do you have a preference with terminal?
I use Warp on a Mac. That's all I use. I'll never.
When I use Mac, when I at home with my personal stuff, I don't have this problem. You know, Windows can't keep up with.
You should switch to Mac. There you go. Throw that Windows machine out the window. Get it? That was a funny joke. That was a funny joke. Throw Windows out the window. I like that. But you can do it. You can list all the dependencies in your project. npm ls-all. If you are a Linux nerd like me and you love playing around the terminal, you love running Linux commands, npm ls just means list, listing a file structure, listing a directory. -all is the flag. Throw that on there and you can do it. npm ls-all in the integrated terminal, and I turn around, I like watching it. I can see it on my screen, but I like watching it here because it's kind of fun. Sweet, we got a ball. That was quick, right? That was so awesome. But it scrolls, and it scrolls, and it keeps scrolling. I promise it stops. This is where I usually tell jokes. So I'm going to start you off with a joke. What is, and you can't answer this, what is a spider's favorite job? Web developer. All right. I told this other dad joke in the last session, but I'm not going to tell that one. I'll tell another Christmas dad joke. What do you call Santa Claus when he comes down a chimney? Crisp Kringle. Oh, yeah, I got a little laugh out of here. Oh, it stopped, sweet. I felt the gray hair growing. So it takes a minute. You can scroll it. You can do this. You don't have to do it. It's not a requirement when you're building web and software, building for web and building software. But you can do it. You don't have to. So this listed direct and transitive dependencies. So what is a direct dependency? There's direct, there's transitive, there's peer deps. We don't need to talk about peer deps. This is a perfect example right here. If you were to install Next, you get 3 dependencies. You get React, React DOM, and Next. Those are direct dependencies, right? You know that's what's there. But then you have transitive dependencies. Is everybody familiar with a transitive dependency? If you're not, raise your hand. Couple? Okay, that's fine. You can sort of think of it like this. Is everybody familiar with this movie? Or this franchise? All right, there you go. Does everybody know what this is? No, it's not a xenomorph. Wrong. Facehugger. It will turn into, well, technically not this will turn into, but this is a facehugger. And the way a facehugger works is that it hatches out of an egg, it attaches to your face, cuts off your air supply, helps you breathe, inserts an embryo into your body, also with maybe some, like an anesthetic that kind of knocks you out. You don't know what's happening. It hops off your face. Now you have an egg or an embryo implanted with inside you, and you're walking around with it, not knowing that it's there, until your chest starts to do one of these things, and then you have a chest burster. It bursts out of your chest, and then that eventually hops out, and it morphs into a xenomorph or whatever the species is, depending on the movie. That's how you can think of a transitive dependency. It goes along with you for the ride, but you don't know it. You didn't implicitly install the package. So this is an example right here. Let's say you go into your Next package, and this is a scoped package at next/env is what we call a scoped package. Let's say you go into your node modules and you look for your Next package, you pop into your Next package, and you look at your package JSON file, and then you see /env1534. Did you install env1534? No, you didn't install env1534, but when you installed Next, it came along with that package. The only way you're going to know that is if you go into your node modules, and you go into the package, and you search the package JSON, and you see what those dependencies are. How many of you are going into your node modules to check out every package and look at the package JSON? None of you. None of you are doing that. And if you are, like I said in the first session, you are a super nerd. And I give you all the props in the world for taking the time to do that. I don't have the time to do that, for one. For two, I am automatically going to trust the developer that built the package. Why is that? Well, I have a problem with trust, for one. For two, the person that built that package is probably a lot smarter than I am. Because if I was as brilliant or intelligent, and I've been building on the web for 30 plus years, excuse me, I would have built the package myself, right? I wouldn't need to rely on somebody else to do it. But I am relying on somebody else, and I am trusting that that package is going to do what that package is described to do. But we're not doing that. We're just installing stuff. And we might not be copying and pasting. either. We might be just doing it by muscle memory. I do it all the time. I've installed stuff plenty over the many years I've been doing this. I can npm I install because I know what it is, but sometimes you might mess that up, and we'll talk about that. Excuse me. So, we're going to talk about UFOs and UAPs and all this fun stuff. Let's say there is a package out there called UFO Tracker. Awesome. You have this idea to build this cool app. You install npm install UFO Tracker. And this UFO Tracker pulls data from some of these resources, probably all these resources. So we have Project Blue Book, we have the Hynek report, we have the Roswell files, we have the Montauk incident, we have a bunch of different pieces of information that it pulls data from to give you a starter set of data in this UFO Tracker package in order to build your app. Now, I did build an app for a conference talk I do called Close Encounters of the Data Kind, and it's all about deploying UFO data to the cloud. And I've pulled stuff that I didn't already know, but I pulled it from a lot of these resources and put it in a data file and used Compass and MongoDB and deployed it to the cloud. And that's a whole other conversation. But now you have this subset of data. Sweet, you're starting to build this application, you're building this project, and you're getting incoming and outgoing network requests on your machine. You don't know what's going on. Your package JSON or your package lock is getting stuff installed that you never installed before. You're seeing a lot of activity there. You're getting phone calls and text messages from people you don't know, and you start to trip, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I can't figure anything. I don't know what's happening. You do a little bit of research, and then you, being the amazing developer that you are, you think, well, maybe there's some security issue within my packages or whatever. So you go into your UFO Tracker package. Within your node modules, you open up your package JSON file, and then you see this in there, MIB 134. That's not good, because we all know who the Men in Black are. The Men in Black are real, by the way. It's not just a movie. And then a couple of these cats show up to your door, wanting your information, wanting your computer, wanting anything that you have dealing with UFO investigations and sightings. It's not a good position to be in. The reason I bring this up, and we're talking about supply chain, is because there was an attack that happened last year. Is everybody familiar with React Native or using React Native or building for React Native? All right, cool. So React Native had a package, an NPM attack for GlueStack. 16 different React Native packages for GlueStack were backdoored overnight. GlueStack is a UI library for React Native, so like say you use Shad or Tailwind on the front end, GlueStack is something that you would use in the React Native world. So some of these packages, they were maintained by GlueStack. The compromised packages included React Native ARIA Focus, which is an accessibility package, utils, overlays, interactions, toggle, switch, checkbox, radio, button, menu, listbox, tabs, combo box, disclosure. We'll talk about disclosure, not the disclosure you're thinking of. Slider and separator, as well as GlueStack UI utils. And those were all linked to the RAND user agent NPM package, which just generates random users. All of that GlueStack attack was linked to this package right here. That was a big one last year. So if you worked in the React Native space, you probably know about that one. There's a couple other React Native ones that are out there as well. There's also this big one that happened last year. Is everybody familiar with this one? How many of you are Dune nerds? Cool. No hate. I've never seen Dune. I watched bits and pieces of it. But this is one of the great movies that's out there. This is the Shai Hulud worm. And we had two different, did my mic go out? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, mic's out.
Mic's out. I can just talk really loud. Or my batteries are out. Right, there you go. I don't know. We got a green light. This is fun. This is what makes conference speaking so great. Like, I'm not showing any demos, but the hardware is going to go out. Are we good up there? Oh, I see someone up there. All right, anybody got any cool jokes? We can just have fun with this. We'll have some fun. And I'm going to go off camera just to do it because that's what I do. Any cool jokes? I got another Christmas joke. You ready? What is Santa Claus's favorite motorcycle? A Harley Davidson. Oh!
What's a cheerleader's favorite drink?
Cheerleader's favorite drink?
Root beer.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Come on, I need some jokes. I have them in my head, but I just can't come on. I can't like bring them to the stage. What else we got?
Why did the snowman go to the farm?
Why did the snowman go to the farm? Why? So they can pick their noses. I love that. I love that. What else we got? Come on. No jokes?
You're the stand-up.
I know.
I have a question.
Sure. I might have an answer.
All of this dependency stuff, does it all get compiled or just the functions that are and methods that are used?
Everything that you're using in your dependencies is being used on the web. Everything.
I mean, no, when you compile your program.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's all.
Goes in-
Yep, anything that's in your package, Jason, it's all getting used. Everything that's getting used in your package because it's all going to be in your node modules.
Tree shaker.
You could do that, but who shakes trees? You know what I mean? Bigfoot shakes trees. I still have no audio. This is fun. Of course, second talk of the
It
day.
is going out to the other rooms.
Oh, that's cool.
It's just not coming.
Sweet. Will it be on the recording?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we'll keep rocking and rolling. If you're in the other room, hopefully you are enjoying all the cool stuff. So this happened last year. This was the Shai-Hulud worm. At control/tinycolor was the package. It is a direct dependency, but it's also used a lot as a transitive dependency. Supply chain attack, self-propagating malware, infects 40 plus NPM packages, 2 million weekly downloads. Vulnerability level was critical. This shook up the whole industry. And I think there was a second Shai-Hulud worm that happened. We recently just had the Axios worm, or not the Axios worm, but the Axios attack a few weeks ago. That was a huge one. The reason I bring all that up is because supply chain is extremely important. All it takes is one package, and that one package just goes down the chain, and everything else kind of fails. It also goes all the way to the top of the chain. Back in 2021, our president at that time wrote an executive order. You can Google this. I'm not in the government world. Executive Order 14028, and this whole entire executive order was based around improving the nation's cybersecurity. So if you wanted to check that out, you can also, these slides are interactive, so if you check out the slides, you can click on the link, and it's all web-based. So you can check that out if you want to. The reason we talk about supply chain and how to fix these things, how to stay ahead of these things, is a thing that we call an SBOM. Is everybody familiar with an SBOM? Who's not familiar with SBOMs? Perfect. So an SBOM is a software bill of materials, right? So what is it? What is this term? You might have heard the term BOM before, a bill of materials. But an SBOM is just a software bill of materials. So you can sort of think of it like a recipe, right? To cook a dish. It'll lay out everything that you need to make that food, to make that dish. You could think of it as a flight manifest. You could think of it as a package manifest. If you were to order something from Amazon or UPS or anything like that, it's just a way to list out all of the things. This is a great quote too. This is on Medium from Tahir. An SBOM, or software bill of materials, is a detailed machine-readable list of all components within a piece of software, including dependencies, metadata, and relationships between components. So all of the things that go into our project is what an SBOM is. And every little piece of the SDLC makes up an SBOM. So why do we need it? Why do we need an SBOM? Well, number one, transparency. We have to know what is inside our projects. We have to know what is in our packages. We have to know what packages are being installed and what versions those are. And then disclosure. Just like the UFO disclosure, It is one of those things that we just need to know. We are building software. We are building stuff on the web. And I talk about this in my accessibility talks. So if you've seen me give an accessibility talk, you've probably heard me say this. We are ambassadors to the world. We are ambassadors to our users. What do I mean by that? At the end of the day, the software that we're building and shipping could save someone's life in a medical setting. Think about that. The software that we're building could help a child read, or a person to read, have a person read. But we don't think of things like that. We are thinking about story points and Fibonacci sequence, if people still do that, 2-week JIRA sprints, paychecks, which paychecks matter too, having arguments with our team, not getting stuff done, feeling pressure. These are all things we're thinking about. But we have to know what is going out there. We have to be building these things to be accessible, performant, and secure when we are shipping stuff down the wire. I love showing this. It has nothing to do with the talk, but were they non-human biologics? Yes, they were non-human. If you follow the David Grush trials. Well, there we go. Came back. At the end of the day, it's critical for me, 2 main things. Security. The SBOM is for security, right? You can hand that off to somebody. It tells you about our security, and then also compliance. There are plenty of compliance laws out there. The last thing that you want at the end of the day, on top of a security breach, is a compliance lawsuit or a compliance fine, right? We need to have visibility into these things to keep things secure, the software that we're shipping, the software that we're building, and to maintain compliance standards. Now, when we look at SBOMs, there's 6 different types. The demos that I'm going to be showing are just like a baseline SBOM. We're not going to go deep into these types of SBOMs. But the first one that we have is a design SBOM. So it's an SBOM that describes the intended components of a software artifact, even if those components don't even exist yet, often derived from design documents or specs. Then we have our source SBOM, and that one represents the source code of the software and all of its components. We have a build SBOM. It's generated during the software build process and reflects the components used to create that final artifact. We have an analyzed SBOM. This SBOM is created by analyzing the software's binaries, packages, other artifacts. We have a deployed SBOM. This one lists the software components installed on a specific system. And then we have the runtime SBOM, describes the components present and active in a running environment. Like I said, this has to deal with the whole software development lifecycle, the SBOM does. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, an SBOM is not a lock or a package file. Just because you have a bun lock, a yarn lock, a package lock.json does not mean you have an SBOM. Just keep that in mind, because that will get you in a lot of trouble. Those are used to generate the SBOM, but at the end of the day, it is not an SBOM. So should you care? I talked about why you should care, right? You 100% should care about security. The same way you should care about performance, and the same way that you should care about accessibility. All 3 of those fall under the umbrella of UX, user experience. I've been building on the web for 30 plus years. As a front-end developer, I built a career around web accessibility, semantic markup, front-end architectures. We'll take it old school with BEM and SAS, if you're an old school head. Even before CSS was a spec in '96, I was building on the web. You should care. You should care about accessibility, you should care about performance, and you should care about security, because no one cares until shit hits the fan. And that's where we start getting into the problems. And one of those problems, it's a big problem, it's called typo squatting. Typo squatting is a thing. Is everybody familiar with, or not familiar with typo squatting? All right, so typo squatting is a thing. So one of these is not like the other. We have npm Express, and we have npm Express. One of these is a legit package. One of them is not a legit package. There's two different ways typo squatting happens out there in the real world, always by malicious attackers. How many of you have typed in your address bar guthub.com? If you didn't raise your hand, you're lying. You have, because you've typed it fast. You try to be like a cool hacker and you're typing really fast on your computer. Also, the I and the U are right next to each other. So sometimes you miss the I and you type the U, but it goes to github.com, it gets redirected. I'm going to assume github.com or GitHub owns GitHub, but there is always that chance that you type in a URL, the letter is off or there's too many letters and you accidentally type that. It takes you to the site that you think is the real one, it looks exactly like it, wrapped in the same functionality, the UI is exactly the same. You go to log in, you go to do something with a form, you think everything is good, and now your credentials are stolen, and they have access to certain things. That is an example of typo squatting. Another one is with packages. Not just NPM, PyPy, whatever the Windows system, like Windows uses. Typo squatting is a thing in that area as well. I don't need to go to Express's website or the NPM registry to copy npm Express. I have installed Express plenty of times. I know how to spell Express. I know how to do npm Express without even looking at a keyboard. But I might have missed that second S when I typed it out. But I think, hey, that's fine. Maybe I got distracted or I got bumped when I was installing it. I'm not going in my package or in my node modules to look at the Express package and to see what's in there. I don't need to do that. I'm looking at the terminal. Oh, yeah, it says it's install Express. Cool. I'm good. We're good. I don't need to worry about it. That is one way that that can happen. If you're not cognizant and you're not being responsible in what you are installing and you're not paying attention. You have to be paying attention to these things. It's important for product and users. That's where the importance lies. Component visibility, and I'll talk about this again at the end. Identifying all the code sources, they can move rapidly, and identifying hidden vulnerabilities. Vulnerability management. Identify vulnerabilities within device manufacturers' underlying source code, using vulnerability management tools to figure that out. Supply chain security. We talked about supply chain security and why it's so important when you're building stuff. You can think about it as a Jenga tower, right? You have a crack or you have pull out one of the bars and then it kind of just spirals down and you're cooked at the end of the day. Collaboration, patch management, working across various technologies, various teams, collaborating around the software that you're building, prioritizing, remediating, doing all of those things. And then compliance. I talked about this already. Making sure that you're compliant. There's so many different rules and laws and licensing and certifications around various compliance that you want to make sure that you are compliant. There are a lot of bad actors out there. And this wouldn't be a security talk without talking about hackers. Has everybody seen this movie, Hackers? Who hasn't seen Hackers? Oh my gosh. Y'all need to go home after this and go watch Hackers. Has anybody seen the movie Antitrust? That's a great movie too. Okay, what about War Games? Okay, Sneakers? I'm gonna take it old school. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes? The original Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, not the remake. No. No, we're talking about a young Kurt Russell from the 60s or 70s. The computer, yeah, it's on Disney Plus. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. That was the OG. It's really funny. I love my hacker movies. Hackers was the first movie that got me into building on the web. I started off with QBasic and then moved over to HTML. But my original machine was a DOS machine. Who remembers Radio Shack and Tandy 1000 series computers. All right, my old school heads. I love it. Dade Murphy was not a bad actor. He was when he was a kid and crashed 1,500 systems, but once he turned 18, he started doing things for good. But there are malicious attackers out there. There are bad actors out there that we have to be cognizant of. And we have increased requirements for SBOMs. One of them the biggest one is client trust building, policy requirements, right? There's more policy requirements out there for SBOMs and having SBOMs. A process for older solutions. SBOMs are relatively new, right? We didn't have SBOMs when I was building on the web. You just did whatever, right? And hopefully nothing, was vulnerable at that time. A storage system for SBOMs. I don't mean a physical file cabinet or anything like that. I mean a place to store that SBOM. So whether that's GitHub, Nexus, Artifactory, right? A place that you can have that SBOM for a client or a customer to be able to access and get on their own. And then accessibility to SBOMs. Not in the terms of web accessibility, but it being accessible to someone that does need it from that storage system, right? It's there, it's out there for them to grab. So let's blast off. We're going to go to the terminal. I am not going to do this live just because, the demo gods probably hate me. The recommended install for the tool I'm going to be using, it's curl. You can use curl. The tool is called Syft. Syft is created by a company called Anchor. So this is the Syft install. Recommended is curl. You can also install it with Brew if you wanted to. So Brew install Syft. Like I said, if you want any of this information, the slides are already up there. If you went to that QR code, it's shownotes.tuxcare.com. We didn't forget about you either, Windows. You can use Chocolatey to do this as well. So Choco install Syft-Y to install Syft. And then Microsoft also has their own SBOM tool. Just if you didn't want to install Syft, they have their own SBOM tool, and you install it with Winget. And it's a verified package. It's directly from Microsoft's GitHub repo. So if you are fully engulfed and locked in the Windows ecosystem, you can use their SBOM tool. There's two popular formats that you can build your SBOM or you can create an SBOM. One is SPDX and the other is CycloneDX. It is up to you, your security team, your architecture team to decide on which one of these you want to use, right? Because if one person on your team might do it this way, another person might do it that way. Just agree on one style depending on your need and then go with it. For these examples, we're just going to use SPDX. So let's generate some SBOMs, and this is going to go kind of quick. So we're going to run Syft, we're going to run Syft, got some flags in there, SPDX-JSON, and it's going to create an SBOM.json file. And that's what the SBOM looks like. It's machine readable. You can't read it. You could, but it's stacked. It's not pretty printed or anything like that. But that's using Syft, and you pass it a source name and a source version. Now, if you don't do that, Syft will yell at you in the terminal. I personally don't know if that makes a difference or not, but just throw something in there for your package, just to describe your package, the version and the name, and then the terminal and Syft will not yell at you. There's a tool out there, though, called JQ, and JQ is really cool. So you can take JQ, you can take that SBOM.json, and you can convert that into whatever name you want. So we called it SBOM-pretty.json. It generates the SBOM for you. Well, it doesn't generate the SBOM for you. It just takes that SBOM and formats it into human-readable JSON. And that's it right there. And it's broken down for you. And there's tons and tons of information in here. If you are a security researcher, if you are a security engineer, you probably can break this down, right? But if you're a front-end dev, if you're a back-end dev, and this is the first time you've ever really done something with an SBOM, you might not be able to break it down totally, because there's licenses, there's versions, there's checksums, there's tons and tons of information in there. So I would suggest handing it off to a security person or an architect. But that's what a generated SBOM looks like, if you wanted to do that. You can also regenerate SBOMs if you install a package, which is pretty easy to do as well. So in this example, I'm running Lucide Angular. It's like an icon library for Angular. I'm installing that package. I delete the SBOM. I go in the package.json file, and I can see that it was installed if I search it. Cool. I'll run Syft again, create another SBOM, let it do its thing. I'll run JQ again to format that SBOM. Once that's all said and done, we'll go into the SBOM pretty.json file. We'll search Lucide, and there we see it. So then it was generated again with that new package, which is really cool. You can also run security within your security, so SBOM security, so you can use a tool called Gripe. Sneak also has one, so you can run a CVE checker on your SBOM. So that's really cool to do that. You can run Syft SBOM, you generate that SBOM, and then you would run Gripe, and then Gripe will give you a list of vulnerabilities within that project. So that's really cool to use. You can also install all this stuff in workflows. So if you're doing anything in GitHub workflows, your current directory, you can scan your project with Gripe. You can scan your SBOM. You can create an SBOM every time you push code up to GitHub. So you can do all of this in a workflow, which I would suggest you do instead of doing it manually on your machine. That way every time code is pushed to your project, a new SBOM can get regenerated. So to recap, things that we need to care about and we need to just be wary of. Component visibility, knowing what is going into our project. Vulnerability management and being able to figure out those vulnerabilities and manage those. Supply chain security, collaboration, and compliance. Making sure that we're compliant. If you wanted these show notes again, you can scan that. You should be good to go. Camera, I see 1, 2, 3. I'll give you like 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweet. I'll leave you with this. I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens. Thank you so much. That's my time. Enjoy the rest of the event. Hit me up on socials because I have to split.